I see. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all attendants. I guess topics for today will be thread by Billy on rewarding Baba for contribution to a Grape access on the last 7 months. Another topic will be from Porchrock about reputation round 2. And that's it. As for the new topics, besides we have another unintended topics which will be the saga phones distribution and the grape airdrop distribution. Kind of the same thing. I mean, Porchrock, you are here if you wanna bring up the stage your thread on discourse.
Hey, Legend.
Hello, Porchrock.
How's it going, man?
So far, so good.
Cool. Um, so yeah, I can talk a little bit about reputation. We've been chatting in a little working group with Pi and Sajal, and we kind of wanted to take a step back from how we were going about it last time and see if we could find a really easy and simple way to start. So the basic idea is we took everything that was done in the workshop Excel spreadsheet and just like ranked everything by what everyone thought each aspect of reputation was worth. And the idea is that we can export all of the governance data to start, because that's the highest priority thing according to the community, and try and apply different models to that. Basically, one that's like point based and one that would be tier based. So, if you voted, you get X points. If you created a proposal, you get Y points. Or we can go with something that's like, if you voted in 80% of the proposals over the last 2 months or something, then you qualify for some like level. And the idea is to just test these out off chain using a spreadsheet just to see how everyone evolves. And we'll make these spreadsheets open so you can find your wallet address and see how you fit into this sort of a model. And if we agree with that, then that would be step one of reputation, and we would issue reputation just based on that on chain, either like with non-transferable tokens or a soul-bound NFT maybe. And then we can just build on top of that. So if you go to the discourse, you'll see how we've prioritized or what we've prioritized based on the workshop content. And then it describes exactly what I just described here too.
I see. So, what does the DAO needs like to achieve any requirement from your thread to proceed with this aside from the Grape or USDC rewards?
At the moment, the DAO doesn't have to do anything, in the sense that we're not like making this something that's on chain, or we're not proposing to have this be the Grape reputation system. What we're gonna do is we're gonna organize another workshop, I guess like next week or the week after, and people can come and play around with this spreadsheet model and see how that works when they change like point allocations or thresholds or whatever, and just to give people an idea of how all of this would work. And then we would just kind of do it off chain for a little while to get people comfortable with the idea of how this works. And then we can put it up for a vote, maybe like in a couple weeks or a month, when people have had some time to see how the whole system could work if it were on chain. It doesn't necessarily mean that reputation will be used immediately in any way. It just means that we're now beginning to objectify it based on criteria that we, in theory, value. And we can change it as we go. So we can change how the reputation system works on one criteria. We can add criteria. But the idea is just to build the mechanism, like work towards this on-chain mechanism that really represents what we want it to represent. and then we can think about using it in a useful way. So maybe it's two token governance to start. Maybe it's some other way. I don't know, but we don't need to build the utility into it yet until we get comfortable with how it represents what we want reputation to be.
Do you guys have any date in mind for the next week that would more
Um,
likely accommodate more people to attend?
yeah, we're gonna get the exports done this week, so I'll have like exported governance data for Grape for the past 6 months up until basically like today. And then I'll organize the workshop. Those are the next steps. Um, and then I'll publish like a follow up to the discourse post with what the outcome of the workshop was and the proposed models for off chain reputation for the moment.
Yeah, I was asking which date were you guys planning to do the workshop?
Sorry. Um, so probably the week of the 13th. But as early as this week, we could probably do it like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, or anytime next week.
I
I
mean,
can I can put up a poll maybe just to see when people are available.
yeah, that would be interesting. So we can make a poll now and uh, last till Tuesday. I don't know, till the DAO call.
Okay. All right. I'll set up the poll.
If you need any help, you can do it on the DAO channel, the poll. And to create a timed poll, you do the slash time poll, then you just fill the inputs, and that should be
That's
it.
I found time poll. Okay. I was doing a normal one. Yeah. Okay. How much time?
It's up to you, honestly. You can do it for today, 1 day, 2 days. You can
Okay.
specify it later.
Gotcha.
But at least my opinion, other DAO members might have another. For me, it should be I think till the next DAO call on Tuesday,
Okay. I'll do that.
so it can be discussed again. Then
Okay. All right. I'm just finishing it. I'm writing all the answers and everything. I'll post it.
no worries. Tell me if you need help with setting up the poll.
No, it's okay. I'm just a bit slow.
So aside from Portrock thread, we have the Baba one with Billy as a writer for it, which Billy is not present today, so it still can be discussed. Everyone can. It's free to come on stage or write on the live chat. Aside from that, it's just on ongoing topics like the saga phones and Grape emissions airdrop. Anyone is free to come on stage. I see Archimedes is typing something. It's time to unleash the beast. Oh, he stopped. Never mind. Oh, he's writing again. Saga Funds with the status in general. So, from my point of view, of course, we are still at the distribution stage, which we don't know how to distribute them to the Grape Community, let's say, committed DAO members, more specifically. And you can see all the suggestions and ideas on how to distribute to committed DAO members on Discourse. The thing we still didn't reach one idea or one recommendation to go for. So I guess the DAO still doesn't know how to. I mean, doesn't know, and I think also not pressured to do it. That's the status, at least from my point of view. Pochrock just started the poll for the DAO reputation workshop.
Yeah, I put it in live chat.
So Pochrock, in that workshop, I assume you're gonna do also as last time workshops where we go on the Excel sheet and fill up with grades, I guess, on different topics, or you're gonna do a different like type of grading.
It's gonna be a lot more like
Specific?
straightforward.
Ah, okay.
So and specific, yeah. So I'm gonna take all of the raw data from the exports,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm gonna set up a model that basically you can change like the configuration of. So you can one will be based on points, and one will be based on time and maybe time and volume, something like that. And then we can just enter figures for how much time we want to take into account when we're measuring something, like the past 2 months, the past 3 months, and how much the actions or what actions would be part of how many and what actions would be part of what we're measuring over those 3 months. So like you'll set a threshold, like voted twice in the past 3 months, or voted 80% of the time in the last 3 months. And you can set 80% in 3 months, and you can see how many people fit into that group.
Mm. Are you gonna include this like in the later on the like Lighthouse? Will this like be possible to?
Well, okay, so with Lighthouse, we're kind of pivoting right now out of reputation, at least DAO based reputation, because it's a very difficult space. But so Sejal works for this organization called DAO Lens that is interested in developing the tool or the technical aspects of the tool. And Pi, who's not here, would like to design the tool. So they're like with what we're doing, they'll end up probably building the tool out for us.
Very nice.
At least that's the hope. That's how they're seeming to approach it anyway.
I mean, it's an idea. If they're willing
Yeah.
to go forward with it, why not? I guess.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of the tooling already exists. Like we built a lot of the backend stuff and the on-chain stuff. So that's what
Okay.
we'll use to start. And then if we take it further, then we can build it out on top of that stuff. Because the components we built are open source, so anyone can use them. Does anyone want to like comment on reputation, or anyone want to come up and talk about it? I mean, I've talked a lot about what we've been thinking about, but if you see it differently, or I don't know, you want to go deeper on one of these things, one of these aspects, we can.
I think from my point of view, it's like more gathering data for every task or aspect the DAO does. So I think it's easier to gather to do to grade what the tasks are, like what's more important to do on a DAO and what's less important to do than like doing the task itself, maybe. I don't know.
You, oh, you mean
At this.
like giving attributing importance to something?
Uh huh.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the what's good about at least the getting the data right now um, is that most like the top things are realms governance and how people use token emissions, however we want to define token emissions. Both of those things are on chain, which is quite nice. So it's fairly easy to get. All right. Archimedes, if you come to the workshop, then we can chat there and go deeper there. All right. I'm like happy that at least this is moving forward. I mean, we've been talking about it for so long that it's about time that it begins to take form. And the good thing is that we don't have to do it with necessarily giving it utility straight up from the beginning. I think that's a good place to start. We'll just work from there.
Well, thank you, Porchrock. So I already talked with about Porchrock thread about the reputation model and the upcoming workshop, which every community member is free to vote on which day the workshop will be hosted. Um, Billy proposal also came up, but since Billy's not here to talk about it, let's keep it for now. And as I said before, the only ongoing topics are the Saga phones and the Grape emissions, which by myself is kinda hard to discuss. So kinda inviting someone to come here and help me. But one of my ideas, honestly, for the Saga funds at least, is if we can't decide on which idea to I guess to choose, we just make a poll, just like I said 2 weeks ago, and just let people vote. That's it. If we don't come to a conclusion after the poll ends, we discuss it again. And I think that's what I'm gonna do today after the end DAO call ends. So I'm gonna pick everyone's idea from the DAO thread on Discourse and make it into a poll and let the DAO members decide on which criteria is the most reasonable, I guess, for them, and let the DAO members vote. And after 1 week, probably till the next DAO call, the poll ends and we discuss it again on how it's gonna work, I guess. So that's my That's how I'm
I
gonna
like
move
that idea.
forward, at least for
I like
today.
that idea. It's actionable. You can move forward. You can get everybody's participation. Anybody doesn't participate, you know, those who do have a say. I think that that makes a lot of sense, Legend. And sorry that I didn't mean to leave you guys hanging on stage. I feel like every time I join, I add more complexity to something than it might need.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
I
it's
think
true sometimes. It's true
anything
sometimes.
anything from an action or execution standpoint that can move us forward on any topic, as long as it's not, as long as it's not something that's a massive shift in how the system's going to work or opens us up to vulnerabilities, is fine. I think that that's a great idea. And whether or not I agree or disagree with sagaphones in general, the DAO gets to decide it anyway. So
Yeah, it's
I
not
think
like
I think
it's not about like rejecting or approving. Like everyone has its own opinions. I don't really
yeah,
mind if you're voting B and I'm voting A. I'm voting for another reasons. You're voting for another reasons. Like it's obvious some ideas tend to give some bias against with your own advantage. Let's say so. One idea might
yeah,
say you did this for X days and you actually did this for X days, so you are more inclined to vote for something that you have advantage over. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting how it rolls out.
yep.
And yeah,
And I also
that's
think it'll also help us have a better conversation when we actually discuss what to do next. Because I feel like that's always the challenge. Like,
yeah, it's a Discord poll just to simplify where the discussion is gonna end. Since not it's not
yep,
an on-chain proposal where it goes from this to this and boom, you're done.
yep. And it's a good process in general. I think that that would, for everything that has some level of cost or importance, that's probably the best way to do it going forward.
So yeah, that's how at least I'm gonna try to move on with the saga phones. Taki couldn't attend today's call, so yeah, he tried to advise us. And I think that's finished for the for the saga phones topic. I just boom ended. So yeah, as the last topic for the call will be the grape emissions, but I think Taki has the lead on that and is more inclined to say what's good or not. I'm not saying the DAO member is not free to, give his opinions and stuff, but as Taki is not here as the lead, and I'll leave the emissions topic to Wesley Doko.
I think it's a nice coincidence that we're talking about reputation again as well. It might feed back into this somehow. It might be a good metric for us being able to help decide the emissions discussion, because anybody who's pulled down that data for governance, for
Oh, so you
instance,
wanna put the Podshark's idea on this ongoing topic on the emissions?
I think we need to have two paths. I think there needs to be one that exists without us completing that, and then there needs to be the one where we have it and it works the way everybody likes that it or thinks it should, and then we use whatever metrics we get out of it to help make a decision about emissions.
So,
Because
so the goal is to spread the emissions through the Grape community, or just Solana ecosystem in general?
uh, so
Because for the Solana ecosystem, it's way harder to identify the persons. I mean, it's easy in off-chain to identify, but on-chain is hard to identify. Where in the
I
Grape
agree.
community, it's very easy to find and identify whatever person you need. Like you can choose you or me.
Yeah,
You know the name. You know what I did. You know my wallet. It's registered with Grape Access as well. Like it's easy to identify someone from the Grape community if you want to do the emissions part at least.
yeah, and I was
So
thinking
and
about
then
it,
the
and
reputation
I
will come
think both.
on the table.
I think both. If somebody wants to propose that both have to happen, right?
I would say that they can happen, but they have to happen in different phases. Like the grape community should be rewarded first so that we reinforce the security around the voting discussion. Then you can bring in the rest of Solana if you want. Once the DAO is controlled by the members of the DAO that have contributed over time, and it's been balanced out a little bit more effectively, right? Those that deserve grape within the grape community get the grapes so that the community token can have more value. And then we can, and I think that's part of the proposals and the discussions that have happened before. We keep focusing on other things like council tokens and all this stuff. It's like, no, just focus on the grape community first. Then bring in the notion of peppering in the rest of the Solana community to attract them using the grape token once there's enough people in the DAO that have grape to help make that decision, because it'll be their voting weight that helps push what happens with the rest of the grape, is my opinion. So I think it's phase one, grape community first, phase two, Solana. Figure out what you want to do with Solana now, fine. But after the grape community has received what they need so that it's distributed better. That's my two grapes. Then we can do whatever we want with the grape as a DAO. The DAO can help decide, right? If they want to give it to Solana, if the DAO wants to give it to the rest of Grape, if there's any other initiative, I don't know, right? I'm not going to come up with all the ideas now, but it makes it more effective of a process and a DAO-oriented process as opposed to just, same people proposing ideas that continue to end up in this cyclical conversation.
You're right. First will be Grape Community, and then the
Yeah.
rest. Any
Yeah,
topic.
but you posed it right, and you're framing it the right way by asking which one should we do, and I'm saying I agree. I think that that's an important question to answer, and as long as we all agree, great community deserves focus first, then it makes it easier, and we can actually move forward with something.
Yeah, I think we will move way faster, I guess, with identifying within the Grape Community than Solana ecosystem overall.
Yeah, like I know that there are projects out there that we want to give grape to that are probably people that have contributed to building Solana ecosystem and the tools that we use as grape. There's Realms, there's Super DAO, there's Monkey DAO. It's like, okay, if we don't know how we're going to reward our own people, I don't know if that makes sense for us to focus on rewarding others or trying to attract them to start. Maybe it's reverse. Maybe we focus on bringing people from the Solana ecosystem in and then rewarding all the grape members. I don't know, but I would say grape members because those that have been here for a very long time and have been contributing. Very long time would be anything longer than 6 months in crypto. In dog years, that's a decade.
Like 6 months is OG, and then like 1 year, 2 years
Yeah.
is just veteran, let's say.
Yeah. I love I love when people say I was an OG. It's like, when did you start? Last year. It's like, okay. Yeah, but anyway,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think that with the reputation discussions and a lot of the other things happening, it's like, okay, if we try and just focus on each task individually and then add in the other pieces to it as they become relevant or as they become active and possible to use, we're probably going to be in a better place.
I
We
guess
have too
the
many
answer for
blockers.
this is just too easy. It's Grape Community first.
Agreed. That's 100% my opinion.
What comes
Anybody who
next is
disagrees?
identifying the people.
Yeah. Which there are like 5 different ways you could do that, but the easiest way is just we have governance metrics. We have some level of participation metrics in Discord. We have some discourse. We have um, other channels and other formats, newsletters, you name it, work that's been done for Grape, tools that have been built, you name it. Done. It's going to take work to collect the information, sure,
uh, I
but
kind of have an idea for this. I think we should do the rewards by layers. So the first layer will be every member that is connected to Grape and has a Grape based role.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if you. That's a first layer for me, at least, my opinion.
That's fine.
My idea. So we'll give like 1k maybe for everyone that's stated on the realms and or at least has a wallet. I think yeah, 1k for every member that is a Grape member has a role based on Grape holdings.
I like that.
Then you make the second layer, so should be another type of reward layer. Uh, Members who voted at least 3 times or 6 times from the beginning till now. No, actually no, because that will not be fair. So 6 months, so you can kind of the average from the beginning of the grape when it started. So that's just an example for the second layer. Then you add more layers, and people who fill up those layers get more rewards within the Grape community.
I think that's fair. You can either create one general score that takes all that into account, or you can do one by one
Yeah, I'm not saying it's
and just.
perfect because people are gonna fill
Sure.
some layers and not fill not some layers, but I think that's how I will do it. You will still receive from different layers, even if you don't fill the previous layers before.
Yeah, and for execution's sake, I think it makes sense. I think if you want to get it done and you want to actually have it
Yeah,
something
yeah.
happen,
If you wanna get it done,
starting the way you're, yeah, instead of doing one holistic monolithic model that just every you need all this data first before you can make a score, and then that score ends up becoming how much you deserve. Okay, but that's going to take time. Whereas your model, the way you just described it, is we start with, I don't know, governance data. Okay, then
yeah,
we go on, move on
these
to the
layers are
next thing.
based off on-chain data and Discord
Good
data,
idea.
because you have Grape access to help us.
Yeah,
So
good idea, dude.
the easier and faster method to do this, based on layers and rewarding the community first, will be doing this. Which we also need someone to gather the data, which could be a bounty, if or just
I'm here.
assigning a. Yeah, I'm speaking in general. Let's say you need a bounty like assigning people, someone from the DAO, if not from the DAO, from the community itself.
Yep, yep. I mean, that's a really good idea for an approach, and I think just like you just mentioned about the discussion on what to do about saga phones, I think that this is the next same level of questioning. Like posing this to the DAO, hey guys, do you agree with this layered system of us focusing on each set of metrics or each set of criteria, and then each set of criteria yields a certain percentage of the overall grape? 10% of the grape goes to layer one, another 10% goes to layer two, another 10% goes to layer three, right? But agreeing on the layers first. I think your approach makes sense for execution purposes and for us to actually get to a final destination.
It's a simpler way to do this, but we can complicate if you want to, but it takes
Yeah,
more time.
I don't want to complicate it. I want to simplify it, and I think you're doing that right now, and I think that that's great. Personally, I could get behind it.
I mean, getting old data from from Solana is not difficult, is it? Since it's recorded anyway.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just
and
like
a lot.
takes some time to get to it, I guess.
Yeah, and a lot of the governance data you can get today. Anybody who's using Grape can go to the governance widget and download the metrics there to pull it. That's not. I don't know if that's the hard part. I think the hard part is, do we
Organize it.
agree on what the idea is behind how to use it? Like 3 months, 6 months, one vote, three votes, right? 80%, etc. And I think Potrock's focus on reputation is another area. We're going to get
Yeah,
that
but
answer.
I want to get deeper into the idea because if the idea is reasonable but the execution is not feasible, then it's not just disregard the idea. If my idea can
Uh,
do can be done with what you said and be
yeah,
done like now, let's not say now, but like can be done now,
Yeah,
then yeah, I would go for it.
yeah, and we set a deadline of finishing this objective by the start of April, right? Like April 1st, all of this has already been figured out, and we've done whatever needed to get done, right? That was the
I think for the Grape Community, yeah, we can then be
yeah.
doing it past that, depending on what the DAO discusses and says.
Okay. So layer one, let's just say layer one. What would be the base requirement, in your opinion, that would be one of the metrics that we need to make that decision? Let's focus on layer one, layer two, just as the first two steps, right? Layer three, four, five, however many layers they're going to be, but let's just focus on the ones that we have and need, right? We know we have governance metrics, so we could put that on a list of,
Later one
hey,
will, for me, will
yeah,
be Grape member, Discord. That's it. Because
okay,
for you to be a Grape member, you need to have Grape on your wallet or staked in, not staked, deposited in Realms.
okay.
So that's how you become a Grape member. So that will be later one. So in my
Member
opinion, you
Discord.
get rewarded for being a Grape member. If you wanna like give out the allocation from the community, you just give out the community, I guess.
Okay. What time duration would you say? Is that like 6 months? How long would somebody have had to have the roles, right? You're talking about having roles, you're talking about activity in Discord, right?
I don't know, 3 months.
Okay. I'm writing this out so that, this is a really good first step, and maybe this is the
I mean, it's really hard to put a time on it because people go and come and come. Uh,
I know. I know.
it's
Eh, I'm one of them. It happens to me more often than most, especially in Discord. In other places, though, I'm active, let's say in Realms, or I'm active in Discourse, but I don't show up in Discord as often as I should. Doesn't matter. I think it's a good
that's
method.
why I said before. Some people might feel layers one, and some people might feel layers two.
Right.
Some
And
people.
I think it makes sense to do it this way, though. So, and I think we should move forward with it. I don't have any objection to us using it as a qualifier and taking some amount of the emissions and saying, okay, this isn't for all the emissions. This is, if you break down the emissions into these layers, you can actually get to a place where people are getting rewarded, where you layer in, okay, you got Grape for being a member, Discord roles, 3 months of activity, consistent activity. Here you go, right?
For me, it's
One Grape.
not be even consistent. Just if you are a lurker or something, just have like the role. It's fine by me. It's already in the community. Like if you go to Jupiter and get some grape to be a member and get access to the community, you're already a grape member.
Yeah, I agree. I think that that's a good point. And just to be clear, you weren't calling me a lurker, were you?
No, because you see, like the moment you get inside the Discord and become a member, you are in. Because some people don't speak or don't write or
Yeah,
don't come on stage, don't or
yeah,
don't do something like. There are different types of people, but there's one thing everybody has in common: has a grape role.
yep. Cool.
So that will be later on. If you have a grape role, you know,
Okay.
these past 3 months, you're good.
What about what about layer two? What would you do next?
Hey, chill. Going too fast now. Uh, Layer 2 could be just if realms, I guess.
Governance metrics, right?
So yeah, but let's make it easier. So if you have grapes deposit on realms, so you don't have to have voted.
Got it.
So
Yeah, committed.
if you committed to put your grape on realms, that will be layer 2.
Good. Okay. 3.
Uh,
Same time duration, 3 months.
to have voted at least one time.
Layer 3, realms governance.
And then you can make like going even harder on this, like type of going more. So if you have voted one time, you're good. If you have voted 10 times, you're good. If you have voted 20 times, you're good. If you have voted every time, you should be given even kind of more reward.
Yeah, would you do it as a percentage of the overall proposals? So like
So most of the
if there's
layers will be kind of most likely equal reward. So people don't differentiate that much, but people that excel at one thing, so it's very hard to find someone who voted another proposal. Even I didn't vote another proposal. Sometimes because I forgot to vote, sometimes
Sure.
because I didn't see it. But I try to vote on all proposals. So voting, having a layer on where it says if you vote on all proposals should be like exception. So you're given more reward. Let's say mission. Let's say.
Right. And I think there was a conversation that was brought up very interestingly about governance voting, where somebody had made the suggestion that because we don't have an abstain option, there were people that would want to vote on something but haven't because they weren't familiar with the topic, or the topic wasn't discussed or documented or whatever, right? Or they didn't have an opinion that they thought would be valid. Um, I think if you simplify it to that point and you just say, okay, minimum of one vote over 3 months, assuming that there have been proposals, because without proposals, nobody's voting. And then if you want to go percentage based, or you want to create two different buckets of people who voted at least once fall into this bucket, and this is all part of layer 3.
I think I'm thinking better. I think this what doing now is just sub layers at this point. So everything related to realms are just sub layers. So it's you have point 2, then you have point 2, point 1, 2.3, and going on.
Got it.
So you have a basic topic for each layer, and then you can, you know, go deeper in each layer.
Yeah, I'm writing them out as separate layers just in case anybody
Yeah,
has an idea how to take the data.
because my objective here, my idea here is just giving everyone a fair chance. So the gap in Grape holdings is not too
Yep.
wide.
Yep. I think that's
And
that's
it
definitely
also doesn't
important.
affect too much the people who bought Grape, besides the emissions, because if you're getting rewarded at the same time as the other ones, the gap is gonna be almost the same as before the emissions. The thing is, everyone will have everyone that missed on emissions on or didn't bought is gonna have more, kind of bigger allocation to vote on proposals. So that's kind of the idea. It's hard to explain, at least with my words.
No. You're dude. You're doing awesome with this, and I think the reason you hear me asking you is because I've heard a lot of people offer their opinions about what needs to be done, including myself. And I think everybody's offered up an approach, and here we are. We haven't we haven't gotten to a place where there's actually one definable action that we can move forward with yet. And I think your approach is probably the best I've heard so far from an execution standpoint, piece by piece. What we know, let's start with, right? Trying to create one holistic view has been done as one approach. You can add in all this data into one score if you like, but somebody needs to collect all of it, right?
It's all the ideas from everyone is fine. So everybody is free to give an idea and it looks amazing and
Yeah.
stuff. The problem is someone has to do it. Even with my idea now, who's gonna do it? So I'm fine to try to get Discord roles also. It's like a list, Excel list, I guess, and then it needs to be ranked.
What about sub DAOs? What
So
about
okay, so that will be another layer. I'm
okay.
not saying sub-DAOs though. I'm saying first, before sub-DAO, I'll be interacting with Strata protocol maybe.
Yeah.
So it should be on chain. You interacting with the smart contract with from Strata, right?
Yeah, I think it would be you would be able to see the user's wallet as long as it's the same wallet. Otherwise, that might be more difficult because it's on chain, but that would require somebody to mention what wallet it is that they might not have verified through Grape, which theoretically they must have because the whole point of having those tokens is to get verified on the Discord. So yeah, should be able to find the wallets from the sub DAOs themselves if they're connected and their sub DAO tokens, and B, I don't know if we can say that we have sub DAOs anymore. There's definitely the content sub DAO and what's happening there in the community management side of it. So whether there's a sub DAO token or not, sub DAO tokens are a great qualifier because it's on chain. It's easy.
Wait, what? Okay, so you're saying different things. So you're saying
No,
a
I'm
community
adding
member
them both in.
who has been in a sub-DAO is counted as a layer.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about it that way, just adding in another set of criteria. Maybe we never get to this layer, right? That's why
No,
I'm leaving it
this
for
layer is
last.
fine, but it's way later on because it's more specified. What
Yep.
you wanna do is try to get something that almost every member of the Grape community has done.
Right.
That's
Yep.
my objective here, at least.
Yep. I was thinking about this from like two different angles. It's activity on if we talked about this as well. Grape art, right? People using grape art, people using grape tools, any other product support, stuff like that.
That's it. That's also another layer.
Yeah.
You've added the Grape tools and usage, so
Yeah. I'm
you've
just adding in a
interacted with
list
the
because
Grape Access bot at least one time. You're eligible. And then you can just go deeper. How many times did you verify it? How many times did you use Grape art? How many times?
yeah.
It's how frequent of a customer, let's say, you are. That's how you get rewarded more, let's say.
Right. And that might because I'm putting it towards the end, as you could see, because like we could make that layer 7 or the last layer, right? It doesn't need to be number 5. I'm just putting them out for an example for everybody to see what you're saying and whether or not this represents that idea, right? You think this makes sense the way I'm writing it out in the live chat?
Yeah, it's fine the way it is, but at the end we're gonna just have less layers and more sub layers. That's the
Yeah.
because the only way to get more rewarded as in a emission is just fulfilling the sub layers because everybody's gonna fill at least every layer. So
Yep. And I agree, Pochak. I definitely think Pochak mentioned that he thinks that even for reputation, this is a great way to think about it. I agree.
I
I
think
think,
look at the audience. I think the audience at least fills every layer, every normal layer. So everybody from the audience has a Discord role. Yes. Everybody interacted with realms. Yes. Voted at least one time. Yes. Uh, Proposals. That's more harder. If they created proposals, that's very specific.
yeah. Yeah.
Every member from the audience interact with Grape tools. Yes. Uh, Now Grape subDAOs is more specific. Grape bounty is also more specific. So at least
Yeah.
more than half of the layers here, people from the audience fill them up. So the reward will be distributed evenly, at least, I think.
Yep. I think that this is great, dude. One thing I'll say, and we'll save it for the future call. And I know that we had already talked about reputation, and I said something in chat but didn't speak. One thing that keeps coming up in my mind is the thought that credit scores, for those unfamiliar with the way credit scores work in certain countries, because they may or may not have one, individuals get a credit score based on the amount of time that they've had credit. They get it based on how many accounts they have open and how good their standing is with those accounts. Credit scores are basically a metric to gauge that your credit worthiness, right? You ask for money from a bank or from a credit card and you pay it back in time, right? We don't really have that in theory, right? The way it looks, because there's no obligation for somebody who gets Grape to use it, except Realms. Realms is the only place where we all commonly are meant to deposit it and use it. That's why governance metrics keeps coming back as like one of the base layers, and the time frame and all this stuff. But I think we have 8 topics here of metrics that we could use based on Legend's suggestion here, and it would probably get us to a place where we can make a decision about emissions. Like layer 1, let's look at those Discord roles. Let's look at the time and duration and activity over the last 3 months. Have they been here? Yes or no? Great. Layer 1. You know, what percentage do we give to layer 1? That's the next question. What percentage do we give to layer 2? What percentage do we give to layer 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Then it just becomes a discussion on how heavy do we weight each one of these to reward. We reward them, but how much do we reward them? I think is a good idea. Was that what you meant, Legend? Am I perverting your idea and changing it into something that sounds messed up now?
No, it's everybody's free to change my idea.
No, I'm just saying,
But
like, was that the way you would do the layered approach? Because you're not going to give 100% of what's there on layer 1, right? You're going to allocate a specific portion of whatever grape we
every
have.
layer is gonna have equal proportion for me, at least. So every layer has a equal type of emission reward. The sub layers are the ones with different allocations. The hardest thing you can do on grapes or achieve is the one you can earn more, let's say.
So, yeah, I mean, this is where I was going to say, if I look at this and you look at number 1, just having a role versus the amount of work that might go into voting or the amount of work that goes into proposals, in my opinion, I don't think that they should be awarded equally. So I would say ascribe as a DAO, if we can agree on what percentages or what weight each one of these layers deserve, we could probably get to a place where this becomes the model that we just use. And we figure out layer 1, we've already agreed layer 1 gets 5% of the emissions that are allocated to the community. Layer 2 gets 10%. Layer 3 gets 15, right? And keep going until we hit the 100% mark, and we just divide this up as a pie and progressively go through each one. So we, instead of waiting for all of them, go one by one.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna present this as a Discord thread, and
It's a great idea, dude.
everybody is free to, change it, change everything
Great
they
idea.
want, and then we just go to a vote later on.
Great idea, man.
It's gonna take a while though, because the idea by itself is just to rearrange the order and the way we wanna do it.
Yeah.
And then we gotta talk about people who's gonna do it, who's gonna get the matches, who's gonna get the data, but that's something we should do it after we know if we wanna move on with this layered approach. That's what you're gonna do.
Yep. And I really appreciate you offering your. I really appreciate you offering up your opinion on this and us not having the noise and commotion behind the scenes to just sit and have to listen to you on it, because finally, I think this is the answer.
I mean,
It's
we will see. So
simple as elegant.
some people can attend, some people can express their opinion now, some people are thinking. So
This is the most elegant solution, though. Like, it's fair and it's the most elegant, and it's just us agreeing on how much do we think each one of these things deserves. Let's assume we don't agree on the layered approach, but we do agree on the weights. Guess what? The weights are going to help us make that final score on reputation in the end. It's like, okay, either way we win by having this conversation, and thank you for starting it. That's all I had to say. And I love hearing you talk, which is why I keep edging you on. Like, I want you to keep going, man. Like, this is genius. Legend, I mean. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Legend.
people are free to paint over these ideas free as they want later on.
Yep.
I can't forget though, because it's 1 hour passes and I just forget everything I said.
Well, that's why I wrote it down. I didn't write it down for my sake. I wrote it down for everybody else to see what we're talking about and like visualize it. And then I'm going to step back. I'm not writing shit because I write essays. Nobody wants to read that
I
shit.
think also Dynite is writing a resume of the DAO call, so everybody who missed or
You're welcome, Dynite.
I wanna
Favor.
review the call, it's gonna have some Dynite sheets, notes.
I
So
usually make life really hard. Hopefully, I've simplified it for the first time ever.
yeah,
And
go on.
I agree with Pochak. This was a very productive call.
So as we pass the 1 hour mark, I wanna finish this DAO call. As we progress, everybody gets more tired and more, doesn't think as wise as you did in the beginning of the DAO call. So yeah, I think we had a nice DAO call. We give Pochrock his his spot on the DAO call by bringing up the DAO reputation model and the upcoming workshop, which is still on live chat to vote. I'm also gonna post on the DAO channel, so people don't forget to vote. Voting is important. There's the Billy proposal on the Baba reward, but since Billy is not here to talk about it, let's keep it for now. Maybe Tuesday or next Sunday we're gonna talk about it. Or it's free to go on chain as well. We talk about the saga phones and my idea to create a pull and out channel and choose one criteria and then decide again. But choosing at least one criteria to focus is, I think it's good. It's a good idea. And to end the call, we talked about the emissions and how the distribution will be done inside the Grape community. I think we came to a interesting idea and conclusion on how to do it. Still needs to be worked on and still needs a lot of feedback from Grape community members and DAO members. And that's it. 4 topics, 1 hour call, and one legend and one Archimedes. Also
12.
Pochrock. I'm joking.
You got to be ninja. Uh, great, man. Thank you. Thank you for driving the conversation. I think we had 3 topics. We talked about each one of them in line with whatever we could discuss today, and we have ideas to move forward. So I think this is the way DAO calls should be. And a reminder, the deadline that we set for trying to get to a place where emissions had an answer as a group was by the end of March, right? I think that was the bottom line, Q1 or April 1st. So this is pushing us in the right direction, so we could be talking about it in March with actual data. In my
DAO calls are just more voice. If you wanna put your voice to work, I guess, and discussions. From beside that is just people giving feedback on the discourse on how it's run and how we should proceed. Anyway, I someone stop me because I'm start mumbling something I don't understand.
Sehr gern, danke dir.
Yeah, 1 hour mark RSA already been passed, and yeah, I wish everybody a good weekend and see you Tuesday. I'll call if you're there. If you're not, see you next Sunday.
Have a good one, everyone. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
It's great. Bye.
Bye bye.